under a sky painted with mist and moonlight. Deep in the forests of Transylvania, a shadow was born that would haunt history forever. They say evil has many faces, but in the 15th century, it had only one name: Vlad Tepes. The man the world would come to call Dracula. He wasn't a creature of the night, nor an immortal vampire lurking in castles. He was flesh and blood, but his cruelty was so immense that even centuries later, his legend still drips with blood. In 1431, a child was born in the fortress city of Sigosora. His father, Vlad Dracula, was a knight of the Order of the Dragon, sworn to protect Christendom from the rising Ottoman Empire. From that dragon came the name Dracula, meaning son of the dragon. But as history would have it, that title soon turned darker, for the world began to whisper another translation: son of the devil. From the moment he could walk, Vlad's world was built on betrayal and fear. When he was only a boy, his father sent him and his younger brother Radu to the Ottoman Sultan as hostages. Imagine being a child, torn from your home, living among the enemy who wished your people dead. Years passed in foreign captivity. There, young Vlad learned more than just survival. He studied the art of war, the ways of the sword, and the cruel science of fear. He saw men broken not with blades, but with terror, and something inside him began to twist. When he returned to Wallachia, he came home to chaos. His father had been betrayed and killed by his own nobles. His brother Radu had turned to the Ottomans, seduced by their power and promises. Vlad returned not as a boy, but as a ghost of vengeance. He looked upon the land his father once ruled and saw corruption. Thieves roamed freely, nobles conspired like vultures, and peasants suffered under endless fear. And so he decided, if the world only understands fear, then he would become fear itself. But the true horror awaited Mehmed when he marched toward Targovist. There, before the city gates, he found 20,000 corpses impaled on stakes: men, women, and children. The air stank of death, and even the hardened soldiers of the empire turned pale. The Sultan, shaken to his core, withdrew his army. Vlad had won, through terror alone. Yet victory came at a price. His people, exhausted by war and fear, began to turn against him. The nobles plotted again. His brother Radu, backed by the Ottomans, took his throne. Vlad fled into the mountains, betrayed and hunted like the beast he had become. They say he hid in the ruins of Poenary Castle, watching the valleys below, his mind unraveling with every echo of the past. He trusted no one. Even those who served him vanished mysteriously, their loyalty repaid with silence and death. Years passed in imprisonment and exile. He was held by the King of Hungary, sometimes in chains, sometimes treated as a guest, depending on who needed his terror most. But even in captivity, his legend grew. Mothers warned their children with his name. Enemies used it to frighten soldiers. The world began to whisper of a man who defied death itself. When he returned once more to reclaim his throne in 1476, he was older, colder, and more dangerous than ever. He rode through villages where people stared in awe, wondering if he was still human. Some said his eyes had turned red, that no reflection followed him in the mirror. Perhaps those are just stories, or perhaps something inside him truly had died long ago. His final reign was short. He tried to restore order once more, but enemies closed in from all sides. Betrayal, as always, awaited him. One winter morning, his army was ambushed. Some say he fell in battle. Others whisper he was murdered by his own men. His head was taken to Constantinople, presented to the Sultan in a jar of honey, a trophy of terror finally silenced. But his grave tells another story. Monks buried his body at the Snagov Monastery, yet when archaeologists opened the tomb centuries later, it was empty. No bones, no trace, only dust and legend. And then came the stories. Travelers spoke of strange figures seen near Poenary Castle, tall, cloaked in black, their eyes burning in the dark. Local villagers still refuse to approach the ruins after sunset. They say when the fog rolls down from the mountains, you can hear it, the faint sound of horses, the distant echo of screams, the creaking of old wooden stakes swaying in the wind. Centuries later, an Irish writer named Bram Stoker heard whispers of this cruel prince and turned them into something immortal. From Vlad Tepes, the Impaler, he created Count Dracula, the undying creature of the night. The myth of blood and immortality was born, and the line between man and monster disappeared forever. But history never forgets. Behind the fiction, there remains a truth darker than any vampire tale. Vlad Tepes didn't need fangs to drink blood. He didn't need immortality to live forever. His power came from fear, from the terror that still lives in the minds of men. The real Dracula was not a myth. He was human, and that's what makes him far more terrifying. If you stand today on the cliffs of Poenary and feel the cold wind against your skin, it almost feels as if the mountains themselves remember him. The screams, the fire, the silence that followed. Some say his spirit still wanders the ruins, guarding the land he once ruled in blood. Maybe it's only imagination, or maybe it's the price history pays for creating monsters out of men. Because perhaps Vlad Tepes never truly died. Perhaps he became what the world believed him to be. Perhaps, in the endless hunger for power and control, the real Dracula is not gone at all. He lives on, waiting for nightfall, in the shadows of every heart that knows what fear can do. And when the fog returns to Transylvania, when the wolves cry to the moon and the forest holds its breath, you can almost hear him whisper, not from a grave, but from history itself, "I am still here."